It's time for the sandbox news. This week we have a new map, new clothes, and idle animations. The structured buffer update is here, which will help increase FPS. There's been some updates to NPC navigation and the Navmesh, and a ton of small editor updates. It doesn't look like Construct has been updated. It looks a little different, but that's actually because of a bug. There's new cardboard leg armor to go with the cardboard chest plate. There are a bunch of stickers on it, and a secret mystery puzzle. I took the chest plate off so we can see it more clearly. There's a sticky note that says, "He is here," with a creature. I think this is the Face Punch logo. There are some characters on these sticky notes and ampersand. There's also the word rat and a drawing of a character that resembles SpongeBob. There's another face here. Not entirely sure what this is a reference to. It doesn't look like there's any secrets on the legs, unless if I'm missing them. Oh my goodness. Is this a leaked Half-Life 3? That's crazy. There's another character here, and a skull, a G. Here's a Boingo character. Not entirely sure what that's a reference to. Beneath that, there's the start of the secret mystery. It says, "Look up," and if you follow it, there's an arrow, and you follow the arrow, it says under. So you look underneath here, and you can see behind note. Now, this one actually took a really long time for me to find. I looked at the back faces of all the sticky notes, and I couldn't find anything. And that's because you can't actually see it in-game. The final part of the puzzle is hidden behind the sticky note. I've opened this in an editor, which means I can move the sticky note around and see what's beneath it. Oh my goodness. Wow. If you want to see it, you'll have to stick around to the end of the video. There are new long idle animations. So if we stand still for 5 seconds, the character will do one of these poses. Now keep in mind this is still a work in progress, it's not finished, so it might look a little rough in some spots. Here's the crossed arms pose. Here the character is leaning on one foot. You can see it a little better from behind. This is a hand on hip pose. And finally we have the hands behind the back pose. So as you can see, the character is holding his hands behind his back. Wow. There's a new unicycle frenzy map. It's called Bunker. As you can see, it's set on a bunker by the ocean. This map has actually been in the game for, I think, almost a month now, but I forgot to show it off. I'll do a quick run through. It looks like you can explore most of the map without actually doing it. Doesn't look like you can get past here though. So as you might expect from a map called Bunker, it's filled with a lot of construction equipment and a lot of concrete. So this is crazy, very exciting. The shader buffer update is here. I haven't coded many shaders, so I don't really know what this means, but from my understanding, it's supposed to make shaders run better, basically increasing frame rates. However, it's actually broken right now. Now, I'm not sure if this is the update or the shaders themselves. A couple noticeable ones are the blend shader, so the colors on grass and other blended materials look weird. And foliage like grass and leaves are white, and they drop your frame rate even more than they did before. This really destroys my haunted forest map. The video isn't lagging here. I'm actually only getting about 5 frames per second right now due to the bug with shaders. This is all a work in progress still, so it'll probably be fixed in the near future. That's just what happens when the game is very early on in development in a developer preview. The NPC Navmeshes have been improved. We now have a more fine control over all the Navmesh parameters. Now when generating paths for NPCs, we can check for advanced settings. For example, a minimum duck height, or a maximum height that the NPC can climb, or jump down from a ledge. I'm not entirely sure what all of these do, or if they work. For example, I have no idea what spring tension max or spring constant would do with Navmesh, but it would definitely be something to look into. A cool thing now is we can add multiple stops throughout a path, and I assume the NPC will find the shortest distance between all their stops. We can also now set the agent hull, which is basically separate Navmeshes for different types of NPCs. For example, in Half-Life Alyx, there were 3 different Navmeshes. One for small creatures like the head crabs, one for regular human-sized NPCs, and a big one for antlion. One of the major issues I was running into while making my NPC zombie game was the Navmeshes were so limited, and now I think we have access to do basically anything we want now. So you might see some more NPC zombie horde soon. There are a couple updates to the tools. If I go into the debug resolution changer, I can set it to be the Steam Deck resolution. So this is the resolution that the Steam Deck runs at. It'll be useful for testing and making sure that your game looks good on the deck. Most of the tool textures have been reworked. You can see them here. Here's what they look like previously in Gary's mod. So I'll flip back and forth. Here's Gary's mod, and here's the sandbox update. You can see how low res these textures are. And these ones just look so much nicer now. There's also a few new ones. For example, checkpoint, capture zone, spawn volume, kill, and I believe these are gray ones that you can tint whatever color you want. The ones I just mentioned aren't used by anything by default. However, capture zone, checkpoint, and spawn volume are going to be pretty common things that a lot of people have in their games, so they're just default textures now. There's also been a ton of work on a new curves editor. Now, I'm not entirely sure what this is for. I think this is just a generic curves editor for any time that you need to use curves. So it's similar to the node graph editor that was made before. As you can see, you can have multiple curves and you can configure a ton of properties on them. It's still a work in progress, so it might end up looking totally different later. Now it's time to uncover the secret message on the cardboard armor.